If I was to say to you, I swear I'm not a racist, what would you think? Or if I said you don't look fat in those pants, what would you think? That is what we are going to talk about today. So I'm continuing my series of doing marketing analysis of the New York City mayoral race. And today we're going to talk about Eric Adams's persuasion fail. Last week I did a video about Zohran Mamdani's message and why it's so effective. Now I'm going to do the same for Eric Adams, though as you are about to find out, it is not nearly as effective as Mamdani. So quick disclaimer, by watching this video, you agree not to get offended. And if you want to leave hate comments, please do, because I need the engagement. I want to get up to 1,000 subscribers soon, so every message you leave helps. Now, quick background, Eric Adams is running to be re-elected mayor of New York City, but he has a very tough fight on his hands. Zohran Mamdani has a very, very effective lower the cost of living message, and he needs to counter that. So what you're about to learn is a huge persuasion fail on Eric Adams' website, what is wrong with his messaging overall, and how he can counter Mamdani's message. Now, at the end of the video, I will assign a score to Eric Adams' message as portrayed on his website, and I will reframe his message to be more effective. So why listen to me? My name is Michael Camo. I teach marketing and product development strategies based on over 100 million emails, 300 plus marketing campaigns, 50 plus product launches. And this video is for you if you want to avoid a huge persuasion mistake. So I took a whole bunch of screen grabs from Eric Adams' website, just makes it easier to edit the video. So you see his homepage. He has his message, deliver, never quits, which I think is a little bit awkward, and I'm going to explain why it is a real problem. Now, this is a responsive website, so text will move around depending on how you size the browser window. Now, the odd thing is you can see if you move it a little bit, you can have the word deliver and then quits right below it. So what is wrong with this message? It's very simple. It's this emphasis on this word quits right up front on the website. Now, which sentence sounds better? And this is going back to the beginning. You look great in those pants, or you don't look fat in those pants. I call this the you don't look fat rule. Humans tend to ignore negative words like don't and not. Instead, we focused on the most powerful words in sentences. And the other classic examples, again, are stuff like, I'm not a racist, I am not lying. Now, there are exceptions like product descriptions. For example, if you're advertising a health food, it's smart to say no sugar or whatever, no added preservatives, stuff like that. But when it comes to persuasion and language describing people, you want to avoid these types of words. The problem is Eric Adams is putting the word quit front and center on this website. Now, this isn't going to make him or break him, but it just kind of shows a lack of thought and effort put into his messaging because it's just so awkward. So we scroll down on the website and then there's Meet Eric, and a lot of it is mostly boring, pretty much, except for this sentence I picked out: born in Brownsville and raised by a single mother. Like, instead of a vision for all New Yorkers, I would put that sentence there because it's more interesting. This is all, boring stuff that's about him that doesn't really relate to people. It doesn't get anybody excited. It's not emotional. It's just bland. Now, and then we have this record, not rhetoric. And like, what does this mean? Because you could actually read it as record, not rhetoric. And then right here, it says a record, not rhetoric, which sort of makes sense. But this is just silly. I mean, you could easily say, just put up front, delivering real results for New Yorkers across every borough and issue, or also even something like 30 billion back in New Yorkers' pockets. Now, let me be clear. I don't even know if any of this stuff is true or how meaningful it is, but it would be much more effective to put something like that up front rather than record, not rhetoric, which is just awkward. Like I don't know who is writing this stuff. So then we go down and there he's listing out a whole bunch of statistics and things, and these are all good, but they're kind of at the bottom, and there's all these, boring headlines like public safety wins. Like, I would put right up front something like remove 20,000 plus illegal guns from streets. It's more interesting than this generic header, because if you have something exciting here, it might make more people want to read all these bullet points. So moving on, we have key policies. Again, just typical politician stuff, not very exciting. Then we have this sort of, generic message, a safer, stronger, united New York. Nothing that exciting, and it's pretty far down the page, so probably not a huge impact. Now I go to his bio page, and, right at the top it has raised in South Jamaica by a single mom who cleaned houses. Now, again, This is a great point that needs to be reemphasized, and I'm going to explain why in just a second. And now, just as a funny aside, I clicked the donate button, and like these are the amounts listed. 2100 is at the top left. And just an FYI for anybody who does anything related to web design where you give people options, people obsess over what is on the top left. And I can't tell if it's smart or dumb, because if people are looking at 2100, maybe they think, okay, 250 is cheap. But I think it's odd that he doesn't have something like 25 or 50 bucks here. But again, this is a situation where you kind of need to let the conversions do the talking. So maybe this actually works out really well. I just thought it was a little funny to start with 2100 right up front. So what is Adams doing wrong? So it's simple. He committed the "you don't look fat" persuasion fail, which it's just awkward and weird. This delivers, never quits, which makes me think, okay, maybe he does quit. And it could also set him up for some like negative attacks from the other side, because they're bound to be able to find some example of him quitting, which would just make him look bad. And also he downplays his bio and track record and instead focuses on these, boring generic headliners. And again, there's no counter to Mamdani, who has a very, very effective message focused on lowering the cost of living, which is the number one problem plaguing New Yorkers. So it's time to give Eric Adams an overall score. And I'm going to give his message a score of, and you can pause the video if you want to see if you want to guess, but I give a score of 41 out of 100 because he's burying all the interesting stuff, and his main message of delivers, never quits is just really, really boring. Now let's talk about how I would frame Eric Adams's message. I would make it something like, maybe even it could be this exactly, but real results for all New Yorkers. And then list out all his accomplishments with videos from New Yorkers talking about what Eric Adams did for them. Because as a resident of New York City, I'm not sure I see a ton that Eric Adams has done. So it would help to see some real people talking about him and say, Eric Adams did this, and, my life is better. Now, actually, now that I think about it, he did do a fantastic job on reducing the number of rats running around New York City. And that is a big thing. Rats are disgusting. And there are definitely fewer rats since he has been in office. Now, the second thing I would do is to emphasize a message like, I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, unlike some people. This would be a major contrast with Mamdani because his mom was a Hollywood film director and his dad is a Columbia University professor. So they are very, very wealthy people. Now, you could argue that this violates the "you don't look fat" rule because it's saying, it puts in "not" and might associate Eric Adams with a silver spoon. But this is a very common phrase, and I think it would be obvious it's directed at Mamdani. And also, you would pair this message with discussing how Adams was raised by a single mom in South Jamaica, Queens. And this adds up to a frame where Eric Adams is the professional that gets stuff done, and Zohran Mamdani is just another rich kid. So in our next video, I'm going to analyze Eric Adams's vicious personal attack on Zohran Mamdani, which is actually a polar opposite from the message on his website because it's actually very interesting and very effective. So I hope you subscribe. So if you learned something today, I'm going to ask you for a huge favor. Please donate $5 or more towards my New York City Marathon run. I am raising money for Fred's team, which supports cancer research at Memorial Sloan Kettering Hospital in New York City. If you donate, I will give you a 30-minute marketing or messaging consultation for free. I will not try to sell you anything. It's limited to 10 people. Again, all you have to do is click the link down in the description and make a donation. And if you enjoyed this video, I hope you like, comment, and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.